Well, that started with a boom. I think we know why Mike Trout is an all-star. How about a leadoff home run to start the all-star game tonight from Mike Trout of the LA Angels of Anaheim, or whatever the heck they want to be called, off of Zach Greinke, who, if you're keeping score at home, has not given up a run since June 18th. June 18th! And then we get to all-star night, and Mike Trout, the fourth pitch of the game, puts it over the right field wall. And then Josh Donaldson almost throws his bat into the stands in the next. He was so fooled on a pitch. My goodness, the All-Star game is finally off and running. It'll probably end sometime tonight around midnight. So I'll get to see the last 4 or 5 innings of it after I get home tonight. Right now, though, let's step aside from the baseball talk. Let's welcome in Spinner Hal, and we call it the Chop Zone. Every week, get the latest on what's going on with the Jacksonville Axemen. Spinner, how was your week, bud?
Mate, it was a great week. Lots going on. And I, too, was also glued last night to the Home Run Derby. Mate, even as an Australian. I do. I watch the bits and pieces, but I really enjoyed the format last night. I like the fact that there was pressure put on the batters to get out there and really have a swing. And look, mate, the storyline last night, you couldn't script it any better. You got a guy at bat, you got his brother pitching to him, you got the hometown kid, and like I said to you during the break, that the thing that stuck out to me so much was his salary per year. And I know to the rest of us, wow, the guy's making all this money. But in Major League Baseball terms, this guy's kind of the entry-level guy. He's making $500,000 a year. So he's like $520,000 or something for the year. And to win the Home Run Derby, how can you not get behind a guy like that? It's kind of the underdog. Mate, go, you good thing. Get up there and smash that baseball.
No, it was cool, man. It was cool watching the entire event. And yeah, his brother pitching to him, and they got that. He's from Jersey. Like, his whole family is from Jersey.
Yeah, so I did see an interview. Like, they showed an old interview from him.
Yeah.
And it did bring me back. Hey, look, it's that guy Paulie from Jersey
He's got a little
Shore.
bit of that in him, and it's kind of fun just the way he interacts with the media and the fans. And it was exciting, you know. And that's not something that I've never said that about a home run derby. I'm telling you, I've never said it, and I watch it every year. Even the good ones, it's like, that was all right. At least it wasn't boring.
Look, they've played with the format here, and they've whether they've stumbled upon it or whether they did some research and figured out what the fans wanted, but they really have hit on something here. And I think the fan base, and not just the hardcore baseball fan. I'm not a hardcore baseball fan at all. Look, right. I'm a Red Sox fan because I lived in Boston for 3 years. You kind of have to be. You've got to be into Boston sports. But when it comes to the Home Run Derby, I watch it because it's everything I love about baseball. It's the big swing of the bat. It's the home runs. It's everything that sort of to the casual baseball fan you want to see. And last night, I literally could not turn it off. I'm like, I'm really into this. So, mate, they've stumbled on a format that I think should really, pay them a lot of dividends in the next future season. So,
yeah, and
good to them.
Yeah, you hope that wherever they're going in the future, if you're going to do this kind of format, get a guy from the home team. Like, you need a slugger from the home team just to add to the environment for the home run. I'm always amazed every year at the people that show up to go watch the home run derby.
Mate, the hometown home run hero.
Right. The stadium is packed every year for the home run derby, and I'm sitting there watching it going, why is everyone there? Right? Like, every year I'm like, why? I get the All-Star game doesn't come to your stadium all the time, so you couldn't get tickets to the game tomorrow night maybe, so you just wanted to be a part of the event, but why are you there just to watch these guys club home runs? Last night, there was a reason to be there for that. It was cool.
You know, there was a reason, but let's be honest. I think, what is the big thing that the casual or the average fan in baseball love? They love the home runs.
Yeah, chicks dig the long ball.
That too.
Yeah.
That
was a Major League Baseball ad campaign in the 90s.
And that's
chicks dig the long ball.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do they dig the long pass? I was pretty handy at that back in the day.
Right.
But look, mate, it's the thing. It's the record that everyone talks about. What is the record that everybody talks about? It's the home run record, right? How many home runs they talk about the Bonds and they talk about the Maguires? It's that one thing. You want to hear the crack of the ball on the bat and you want to see the ball sail over that outfield wall. And, mate, why wouldn't you go and see it? If you had a chance to be a part of something like that, it's probably for most of these people a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go to something and say, I was there the day that so-and-so, it won the home run derby. I'll be honest, mate, even as an Australian as a very casual baseball fan, if I was in town and it was on, I'd try to get tickets. I'd go. And last night only amplified that for me because of your format. It was a great format, and I truly hope they stick with that.
No, I think they will. I think it paid dividends for them last night because I got a feeling a lot of casual baseball fans that maybe flipped it on and said, oh, this is fun, and stuck around to watch a lot more of it. Let's get into what's going on with the Jacksonville Axemen and the USA Rugby League as well. The Axemen went down to Tampa last week. They had the 2-game winning streak on the line going down there. How did they fare last weekend?
Yeah, mate, as Coach Wayne Forbes, and I know I mentioned it last week on the show, the team that he had earmarked and definitely identified as the danger of the Axemen were the Tampa Mayhem, and they proved him right on the weekend. A very resilient team. They weathered a storm at some stage from the Axemen, especially the big men coming through with a lot of pace, and they were very composed. So the Axemen did actually fall to the Tampa Mayhem. It was somewhat of an emotional game across the USA Rugby League, from Boston all the way through to Tampa. We did have a military weekend where we honoured a charity called the Team Red, White and Blue, and they're an organisation that works with military and former veterans. They organise kind of social and sporting activities for military people to go to. It was a fantastic event. We did raise a number of dollars for those through a raffle. I know the Philadelphia Fight in Philadelphia, the Brooklyn Kings up in New York did the same thing. So quite a few dollars raised from the league. So you get through that, and then you also have 5 either former or, in one case, a current military member from the Tampa Mayhem honoured during the pre-game. Their names called out. They're standing in front of the teammates. You can only imagine the adrenaline that's throwing through a team standing there watching this happen. Mate, for the first 20 minutes, the Mayhem come out and they couldn't be stopped. They run at everything. They tackled everything. And it just turned out to be a bit too much for the Axemen to claw their way back. So, look, the Tampa Mayhem ended up running out 28-12 winners over the Jacksonville Axemen, which sets up an absolute must-win this coming Saturday at home. Central Florida Warriors did have a fantastic win over the Atlanta Rhinos. We've now got 2 teams at 3-2 and 2 teams at 2-3.
That's 2 in a row Atlanta's dropped, right? They were 3-0.
Yes. And the 2 tops meet the 2 bottoms. There is every opportunity, and more than likely, based on form, that we're going to end up with all 4 teams in the South Division at 3-3 after this coming weekend. And that, look, it creates a fantastic opportunity for our fans. It's edge-of-the-seat stuff every game. It does create kind of a playoff nightmare for guys like me and the administration side of it. Who's going to have home games? Where are teams travelling? What hotels do I need to book? How many vans do I need to rent, etc.? But you could not ask for a better lead-in into round 6 here. It's unbelievable for the fan base, and it's very motivating for all the teams. Everyone wants to win. It's kind of a win and you're in the fact that you're going to get home field this coming weekend.
Sure. Before we get to Central Florida in that game this weekend, some of the details on that, you mentioned Tampa as being a team that they kind of circled as what could be trouble for the Axemen. Is it a style thing with Tampa? Was it a momentum that it felt like Tampa was carrying into that game? What exactly made it that type of game for them?
Absolutely momentum, but they've also, look, second year in the league, and they also have 2 players in from Australia, and they're both acting as the head and the assistant coach at that team. They also have the advantage that both these players have played together in Australia at a high level. So they combine to make themselves a very dynamic pair where they understand what each other's going to do. It'd be like taking a quarterback and a wide receiver from the New England Patriots and inserting them into another NFL team. They're just very keyed in on the motions, the actions, and the timing of each other, and they've then gone ahead and passed that on and those actions onto the remaining Tampa Mayhem players, and it has really made that team gel. Their timing seems to be really good. They understand what's happening with the import players, and it's just made them very dangerous, and they're a very resilient team. It seems to be, you kind of just can't hurt them. And there were some horrific shots, and I use the word horrific on the weekend in that game. I know Jay DeFowl, the guy we call Shmee from the Jacksonville Axemen, He put a shot on one of the Tampa Mayhem players and just dropped him. I mean, he fell like the guy had been shot. I mean, he just fell on the ground. And then the Tampa Mayhem, Josh Foley, returned the favour to one of the Axemen players. There was some very passionate defence when it all come down to it. And a game that both teams, absolutely wanted to win and needed to win. And you're going to get that sort of reaction for a full 80 minutes. So, look, the Tampa Mayhem, I think they're a very dangerous squad, and I think they're going to be a handful, or more than a handful, going up to Atlanta this weekend.
Yeah, we talked a lot last week about the national team, and we knew this past week they were going to take a look at a bunch of the teams from the southern part of the United States. I want to ask you about that here in just a moment, but let's talk about what's coming up on Saturday, as the Jacksonville Axemen will take on Central Florida down there at UNF, and for a game that is crucial, it would feel like, for the Axemen now with a 2-3 record.
Yeah, for the Axemen to have any chance whatsoever of hosting a home playoff game, this is a must-win. If they lose this game, there's no chance of the home playoff. Although, having said that, the South Championship game is here in Jacksonville, and that's obviously through the bid process. But the Axemen must win, not only for the record that has stood since 2008, but from a team morale standpoint going into the playoffs. And if you want the home playoff, if you don't want to have to travel, they're going to have to win this weekend. I know the boys are at practice right now, actually, over at UNF, and they all feel it. Sometimes pressure can be a really good thing, can be a great motivator, depends on how guys deal with it. Sometimes it can sort of get you a little bit. We're like, oh, no, sure. We've just dropped one. How are we going to fare here? We did lose in the opening round of the Warriors. It's your time to turn that into, we're going to get one back. We're getting even, not, we're kind of worried about you guys. And, in the conversations I had with the Jacksonville Axemen over the past 48 hours, and especially the guys that were at that elite training combine on Sunday, mate, they do feel like, hey, it's our chance to get one back. Mate, that record that stood since 2008, they lean on that so much. They're so proud of that. I don't know if there's a record in any sport that you could say that, in any team, that our home field record, the home game regular season record, nobody comes to UNF and beats the Axemen since 2008. That's a long time. That's a lot of years. It's a lot of games. It's a lot of players have come to and since left the club. So I think this weekend, of all the games, if anyone was ever to go and say, hey, look, I'm going to check out this 13-man code of rugby, this coming Saturday would be the game to go check out. I think that there is going to be unbridled passion, let me put it to you that way, in the offense and defense, the way the guys play the game.
A lot on the line for the Axemen coming up on Saturday.
It's all on the line.
Right. Not only the home record, but the opportunity to host a playoff game, your seeding, everything on the record this weekend for the Jacksonville Axemen. So for the fans out there who maybe haven't checked it out before, what are the details? How can they get out there and see the Axemen on Saturday?
Oh, mate, simple enough. 5:30 kickoff on Saturday at UNF. Gates will open at 4:30. It's $8 to get in at the gate. Beers are $2, and kids 13 and under are free. We believe that, like all sports, the future of any game lies within the youth. So if we can get kids out there that enjoy rugby and they take a look, I wouldn't mind playing that maybe when I get older, if there's an opportunity, we'd like them to come out and enjoy the game and get to know the game and get to know the team a little bit. So yeah, 5:30, kickoff, UNF, Saturday, $8, your kids in for free. And Bud Light is only $2.
There you go. You won't find a better deal to go see live sports anywhere in Jacksonville than with the Jacksonville Axemen. So go check them out on Saturday. Again, kickoff at 5:30 this week over there against Central Florida. I want to talk about the national team. The World Cup qualifying, we talked about it last week, coming up in December. We do not know who the roster is yet.
We do not.
As of last week, we didn't have any idea what the roster was going to look like, but some tryouts, some camps last week. How did the guys from at least the southern region look trying out for that national team?
To be honest, mate, very impressive. And equally impressive in the fact that they all backed up within 12 hours of playing a game, a full competition game. 12 hours later, they're all assembled in DeLand, Florida. Peter Ilfield, the chairman of the USA Rugby League, who is also a very high-level coach, and the coach of the Jacksonville Axemen, Wayne Forbes, in from Australia, put them through their paces, a lot of skills, a lot of drills, and quite a bit of contact. 12 hours after facing 80 minutes of brutality, you're asked to get back out there, and for nothing other than national pride, you want to get your name in that hat, in that pool, to say, I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to wear the red, white and blue and go and sort of defend my country's honour. 23 players fronted up. It was very impressive. The guys all put their bodies on the line. And look, I can't mention names, though I have seen some reports back from Tony and Peter. It would not surprise me if up to maybe 10 guys from across the South get their names put in that player pool. Some of them were extremely impressive. There wasn't a single player that let anybody down. They all did what they have. Some have better skill than others, and you expect that, especially in a developing nation. But for every guy that showed up from all four teams, an absolute credit to them. I mean, some of them were sort of hobbled when they got there. There was 4 guys there with black eyes. One guy could barely see out of his left eye. He was struggling to even see. And they go out there and they just give it all, their all again. There's literally, hey, mate, so what'd you have for breakfast? About 6 motor and a cup of coffee. Let's get into it.
Let's go.
And those are the kind of guys you want. When you come into a World Cup qualifier tournament, you have game. You're only allowed to bring in a certain number of people in your player pool. And you need the guy. We're not telling anyone to play. If obviously, if you're injured and have a serious injury, you're not expected to play the second game. But the guys that have those little, they're just a bit hurt, they're a bit sore. You want the guy that, when you ask him, how do you feel? Mate, I'm fine. Not the guy that, I've got this and that, and maybe my calf, maybe I'll get a bit of a, yeah, okay, do you really want to play in the next game? You want the guys that just look at you, grit his teeth and say, yeah, mate, I'm not hurt at all. Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah.
And I seen 23 guys on Sunday that had that attitude. And you can't buy that. You can't coach it. You can't teach it. That's either inside you or it's not.
Sure.
And we identified 23 guys that had that.
And maybe for some people who didn't hear us talking about the national team last week, the 3 biggest codes in rugby, Rugby Sevens, Rugby League, Rugby Union.
Yep.
Rugby Union has its World Cup coming up later this year. Actually gets started in September. The Rugby Sevens is what's going to be added to the Olympics.
Yes.
Starting next year. And then Rugby League has its World Cup next year.
No, the World Cup is in 2017.
Okay.
It'll be in Australia and New Zealand.
But qualifying is the end of this
year. The qualifiers start this year. There's obviously, the European, the Pacific Islands, the nations that aren't automatically qualified. Yeah. The regional qualifiers are just about to get underway.
And I know you said you'd update us when you can on what's going on with the World Cup qualifiers. I don't think we can get into specifics tonight.
Mate, we can't, but I'll give you a nod and a wink and tell you that, mate, I think we're on the right path here.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that.
I don't think our listeners are going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
When we can talk about it next week.
And mate, the guys that, and everyone hears me. Look, I have the accent, and I'm from Australia, and people seem to know who I am. But there is literally a team of people behind me. My business partner in the Axemen and South Eastern Rugby League, Drew Slover, who, by the way, I hope he doesn't mind, but Mary, his wife, who I know you've met, Drew and Mary.
Yeah.
Had their first child. They had a baby yesterday, a baby girl. So congratulations to Drew Slover and his wife Mary. Fantastic stuff. But mate, and the players, the people that help us, the ambassadors, the guys that run the remote teams, everybody is a part of growing the sport. And again, like you said, I don't think anyone's going to be disappointed in a couple of weeks or maybe sooner. When the host nation is officially announced. I think we're on the right path here.
I hope so.
So we'll see it.
I think
goes.
so too.
Yes.
Before we get done tonight, step away from the Chop Zone again. For any fans out there who want to check out Rugby League for the first time, the Jacksonville Axemen are at home this Saturday at 5:30, where they'll be taking on Central Florida. And it's a huge, huge game for the Jacksonville Axemen. The home record on the line, the seeding for the playoffs on the line. So come check them out at 5:30 on Saturday. Again, $2 beers. Kids, is it 12 and under? Are free.
13 and under.
13 and under
yep.
are free. So come on out, check it out if you haven't checked it out before and you're in the mood for a little bit of that physicality in your sports. If the home run derby isn't enough for you right now, you want to go see somebody knock the slobber off of somebody else, Saturday at 5:30, UNF's the place to be.
Absolutely. And look, mate, I've sort of done you a disservice here as well. I know we do have a number of listeners that listen into the show from Australia and the UK, and maybe New Zealand, a number of countries. For those that are out there, mate, you need to plug your own Facebook page. You go to Facebook, and it's Fat Tony Show. Get on there, send your questions there. And for those in Jacksonville or that are listening to us on terrestrial radio, if you want to see, honestly, one of the most spectacular plays that possibly you go like that. Can that really happen in sports? Go to facebook.com and look up USA Rugby League. Not USA Rugby, that's the 15-man code, but USARL, USA Rugby League. And they have a video of a play that happened in the National Rugby League in Australia over the past weekend. And just take a look at the athleticism in these guys. I'll show it to you in a minute.
Sure.
You'll be amazed of how a team can keep a ball alive in a doing nothing play and turn it into 4 points. It's unbelievable. Honestly, mate, I've never seen anything like it. It's just a proof that the athletes that are playing this game are very serious. They're elite level, and even the guys in the US at this point are getting to that level. Mate, these guys are going to knock the bodies off one another.
Sure.
It's flat out that simple.
I'm excited to see it here in just a moment. As that's Spinner Howland. This has been the Chop Zone. We'll talk with you again next week. See how the Axemen do this weekend.
See you in a week, mate.
All right, he is Spinner Howland. This has been the Chop Zone. We'll get back into some NFL talk. Des Bryant threatening the Dallas Cowboys that if they can't come to a long-term extension by, I don't know, tomorrow, which is the deadline, that he's just not going to play football for the Cowboys. He's just going to take his ball and go home. How serious is that threat? We'll talk about that as well as some other comings and goings.
Can we have him? We'll take him.
Around the National Football League as we roll along here on a Fat Tuesday on 1010XL 92.5 FM.